Okay, I think we're there. If anybody that's watching YouTube could let me know, that'd be great. Okay, I think we're there. If anybody that's watching YouTube could, huge delay. Not yet. Okay, I am there. All right, good. Okay, so there's going to be noise in the background. My neighbourhood's just decided to get all active, apparently. And I am going to be joined, hopefully by a few people. Darius will join us. Athena's going to join us. And where are you?
3 more minutes.
Well, I'm started.
Yeah.
So whenever you're ready. Why can't you turn your camera on? Can you turn your camera on, Athena? Oh. No.
It stopped it? Can it come through?
This is interesting stuff. I can't hear anybody. Yeah, I know. Now I can't unstop it. Can you unmute? No. The hell?
Okay.
You're unmuted,
Unmuted?
at my end, but I can't hear you. Oh, hang
You
on.
can't hear me?
No, gotcha. Good.
Okay.
But what's happened to your camera? I don't know. There is no option there for me to let you put your camera on.
Yeah, it was on before, but it says the
I
host
know.
won't. All right.
Hang on. Oh, okay. What about now?
No.
Now.
Yeah,
There we are.
There we go.
Far out. Sorry, what a cluster.
So you can see me. It's too dark. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I should be able to hear you better now. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, what's today? Friday the 13th. Still no YouTube feed. That can't be right, surely. It is on my end. And there's people in the chat on YouTube. Yeah, no, it looks like it's going 5 by 5. Thank you, Afterburner. Well, I mean, 2023 started with a bit of a bang, didn't it? On every front. I think you and I are pretty much in agreement that like before the 21st of December, around the 19th, 20th, you could feel whatever the 21st was going to bring. It started already.
Yeah.
And I have to say, for me personally, this past Christmas was the nicest period of time that I have had in a very long time. The nicest, longest consecutive number of days that were drama-free, which is incredible over Christmas period. And just lots of love, lots of people, lots of it was calm. There was a calmness in the energetics. It was just peaceful. It was really quite beautiful. And then it all went to shit. Didn't it?
Not really. Let's be honest. Not really.
I did a lot of physical, like the
physical, yeah, physical intensity, yeah, physical, but the peace is still there, right?
Yes. I still don't feel any chaos in the energetics at all. It feels very almost methodical.
Yeah,
just ticking along. It's on purpose. I'm just ticking along.
Yeah,
There's no moves and counter moves and none of that sort of stuff going on. Even though it looks like that in 3D, for sure.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And the other thing I think we're both pretty sure of is that what we have been dealing with physically is that I think it goes back to the that tenant move from the 11th of December. So for those of you who have not seen Tenant, please watch that movie, because that's what I think we just did, is a huge 3-year tenant move. And it completed on the 11th of December. And don't shoot the messenger, but I think we're in another one now that will go for 2 years, but it won't feel like 2 years. And it's going to have a completely different flavor, theme, opportunities, everything than the previous one did. But what happened as a result is we've kind of realigned with a much greater aspect of ourselves, which we've brought in, and that's why we've been feeling it so heavily physically. I'm keen to see how many people had the aching legs. Could be from the hips down. For some, it was just from the knees down. But it's like your legs felt like you were 80 years old and you just run a marathon. And for some, it was so deep, it was like down to the bone. And yeah, like every day felt like you'd just done the worst workout the day before. And that day afterburn. And just standing up or sitting down could just be, oh, that hurt. Still happening for some this week. Okay. I'll just have a look over at YouTube. You guys getting any of that? Although you're on a delay, you probably haven't even heard me say that yet. Very heavy legs, hard to walk. Yeah, so many had that. Okay. That was us trying to ground.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Trying to ground the more of us that was coming in.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. You bring it in the essence and you need to ground it in, and that's where we feel it in the legs. The other thing that people might be feeling is that flightiness, that airy, floaty feeling, and that again is an aspect of, well, it's a sensation. Don't want to use the word aspect like that, but yeah, it's another sensation that we feel when we are bringing in another aspect of us, or a bigger expanded version of our essence it's coming through. It's not trying, it's actually coming through, and it's trying to fly away. It's trying to, it needs to become familiarized with the physical body, your physical body, the field itself. So it feels like trying to escape to the clouds. But we just have to bring it back in. And it takes a little bit of time to just feel grounded. But then you'll feel it in the legs potentially. And that is, again, it's the grounding. It's that grounding of the essence that needs to take place. Because it's been coming through big time. And try to do a video as well to speak about how expansive this period has been. It's been the most expansive period that I can consciously remember. And it's a new energy of ours that's coming through.
I even had a couple of days in amongst all of this where I think it lasted about 3 days, where this physical body felt like it just felt gross. It felt like I couldn't shower enough. It was like I just put on clothes that I dug out of the dirty laundry basket that had been there for a month. Right. It was like, oh, this thing feels gross. And I think that was a part of that part of me going, what the hell's this? Feeling like it was putting its head in and going, oh, I don't like it, and popping out again, doing that. And the other sort of symptom or side effect or whatever of this can be, what was I going to say? Not the flighty, oh man, it's gone. That, possibly.
That.
No, there was something else. The head, the legs.
The headaches?
The headaches. I've been putting mine down to structural, but you think?
Potentially, yeah. Because it's a surge, right? We get surges of this. It doesn't come in one go. It comes in waves, so that you can get used to it. It can get used to you too. So it's like it's still part of you. This is you. This is your energy coming through, just bigger, expanded version of you. And it comes in waves, and it needs to be familiarized with the environment, your body, the field. And part of it is shock and awe, because it's like, okay, this is great, but then what have you been doing here? It needs to see the body, it needs to feel the eyes, it needs to get in touch with the physical aspect of it. The other part of it is the energetics behind it too. It's like the traumas that we've got trapped in our body that we keep holding on to, and this essence is coming through thinking, what? Why do you still have this? That's and then there's a big resistance and a purge. The purge is happening at the same time. It's coming in, it's purging. It's coming in, it's purging, and this is happening over a period of days. And we feel the purge in physical sensations and the grounding in physical sensations. So it's all physical, but that's the after effect of it occurring.
Short-term memory has been awful. Can't think words. That's another aspect of this. It's like your brain.
Yeah.
Your brain just doesn't want to cooperate. But again, I know I talked about it before, really keep nurturing that vagus nerve and the nervous system. It helps so much, as does water. We've talked about water a lot over the years. Drinking lots of it, standing in it, preferably salt water if you can get to it. But if you can't, then showers and baths, washing the dishes, anything, just get me water.
Anything, absolutely anything.
But this has been one of the biggest, I think, that I've noticed in a long time, collective integrations. For years.
Yeah, it is.
Probably since like 17 or 18.
Yeah, it's a big one. And it's the convergence. So we prepared for this. We were prepared for this, right? So this convergence period that was taking place in December up until that first few days of January, these are collective dates. So like on the 4th, it was a big convergence point. And in the field, people who can read the field will have seen it. This would have grounded in on a collective level. So it was already happening. We were all pulling our timelines, correct timelines, activating the correct timelines for this next period. We were doing it all in December, right? But that end date was the 4th of January, and those who were struggling with it were forced onto it anyway. So the 4th was a big date like that. That's in the field. That's accessible. That's information that's accessible by those who can read that information. And then on the 7th was another big collective date in terms of this aspect of ours coming through. So this energy, and again, people who can read the energy in the field will have seen that on the 7th, there was a very big new energy floating around in our field. And that's because through our heart soul essence, there was a big push from many of the beings on that day. And then it takes a little bit of time for that integration to take place. And that's what we're doing. We're integrating this aspect of ours. And it's showing itself to us now. But it's a process, individual process. So it can take, the dates don't really mean, it shouldn't mean anything to anybody. But on like the unified field, they're recorded. It's known because a big push will come through, and it's like an event because a big energies come through, the biggest of its kind. And this is why I say this is the most expansive energy we've had.
And people are also talking about sleep patterns. Some can't sleep at all. Some are constantly asleep. Some are dreaming a lot. Some aren't dreaming at all. I mean, that part's all over the shop, but a sudden change. And don't be surprised if you start making unexpected life changes or life decisions, or because, that was the other thing that I forgot before. It's pushing, as this part of you, this big, greater part of you comes in, it's pushing all the crap to the surface again. And that is mental, emotional, and physical. It's programs, it's old trauma, it's attachments, it's whatever doesn't serve, or whatever that greater part of you just cannot tolerate, it's pushing it out. And also there can be a change in thought patterns, a change in thinking, a change in priorities, a change in whatever. So if you start finding yourself making decisions and go, wow, that didn't even occur to me a minute ago or a week ago or whatever, but now that feels right, that's probably why.
Yeah.
Oh, Alicia's here too. Hello, you want to join us as well?
Hi, Lisa. I've got a lot of background noise here, so I might stay on mute, but I'm here. I'm listening.
Anything you want to add at this point?
Not yet, but I'll text in the chat if anything comes up.
Okay. Well, your background sounds fine for now.
Okay, that's good to know.
In terms of 3D events, I think everyone called it wrong. I think everyone called it wrong. There was so much about the Bronson case, and we all thought that had legs. McCarthy thought there was no chance in hell, and there he is. But he's being a good boy. Twitter's still on fire. Oh, you can't unmute. Okay, hang on.
Okay, yeah, there we go. All right.
What else did we get wrong?
I don't know if you got it wrong, but it was always going to take a bit of time, right? It's the revelation. This period of revelation first needs to come before anything can change. So, yeah, I wouldn't say you called it wrong. It's just we were open to see what was going to happen, but I said this is going to take a time. I said it from the start. This is going to take time. And like what you just said before, that methodical, I think we're starting to see that there is method to the madness. There is something happening that our aspect right here might not have a handle on right now because it's too involved in the everyday, that control factor. But as our new expanded aspect starts to take hold, these decisions, is something that I'm going to speak about is the assertiveness that's going to come through, and the conversation that needs to be had individually on our own. This is internal speak about the choice. This free will, free choice, because a big part of this aspect coming in, it's not it's not, and I'll just use like an analogy of sorts, I guess. I don't know, just a way to explain it. It's not an equal aspect. Like it's not you know, how you have a handover at a job and an equal colleague comes in and you're, you know, at that same level type thing, and you're trying to help them navigate it. This is like a boss coming in. This is your CEO coming in. So, and it ties into what you were saying, purge, because this aspect is coming in and it's a boss aspect. It's not a equal aspect. And it's saying, okay, you've done this much, but that's it. This has got to go now. This wound that you've been carrying and you're in love with, this wound that you keep pushing away, pulling back in, pushing away, pulling back in, but you won't let go. It's got to go. And we're not going to go through a period like in the past where we've sort of tortured ourselves with healing and finding another wound and then finding another wound and then finding another wound and never ending story. That's no longer going to happen. It's going to be more assertive. This can't stay. This has to go, and you have to deal with it right now. And that's it. That's the end of it. You know, it's going to be a really short, condensed period of removing all these illusions of wounds and moving through, bringing that assertive aspect of ours, knowing what it wants to do, having a clearer direction as to action that needs to take, that you need to take, right? You need to take it. And those messages are going to be clearer. So, you know, while I don't like the hierarchical aspect of it, it is a leveling up. We're bossing up. We are getting that aspect of us is coming through. And it's part of us on this journey that we've been on in the last few years. All of us have been on this, reclaiming our power in one way or another. We've been reclaiming our power individually. You know, everybody's got their way of doing it, but we've started to see outside of us how people are trying to control us, and we're like, no, we're not having that anymore. Come clear, and we've done things. So it's all one of those sort of plays right now, and it's taken years. So I'm not surprised at how things have played out. I still think it's going to take a little bit of time for this to play out in the external world. But there is so much joy to be had internally and in your own life if we can start seeing, you know, we can affect our reality. We have the power to, and it's a learning. We'll learn how to do that.
Going back though to this last 3 years and the whole tenant move concept, I'm really now understanding why it felt so chaotic, why it felt like moves and counter moves. Because if it was a condensed 3 years, probably since 2012 to 2020, say, or 2019, and we saw everything that played out, you know, in hindsight, and then we did a tenant move, a little loopy-loop, redid that in a sense, making all of those corrections. That's why it was just chaos. And then now we've met up with that point as of 11th of December, and now it feels like we're on that. I mean, we've all heard trust the plan. Now it feels so methodical that there is actually a plan, and that we're finally potentially on the plan, whatever the plan is.
Your plan. Your plan.
Our personal individual plans for ourselves, the collective plan to close this out. But it's got a completely different flavor to the previous three. And I know we all go through these. Some of us live there permanently. I just want this done and over with and out of here. But this next cycle feels like we really do have the opportunity to have a positive experience that we chose to come here and have. But it's not necessarily easy to get on in the right space for that. Can't you unmute still? Why not? Every time you mute yourself, I have to let you unmute again by the looks of things. Yeah, now it's not working again.
All right, it should work now. I don't know why it does that. Apparently, when I want to, if I mute myself, then it automatically does it. But yeah. What I was going to say to that, Lise, is that the 2 years of that whole stuff playing out, it was all crazy, chaotic, almost like everybody's energy was like this, and it was like, but now it's like everything is forced into individuality, like everybody's forced into their own energetic field to work on that. That's why it's like even though they're still there and certain narratives are still playing out, like a bunch of narratives are still playing out. It's like we are, depending on our consciousness and where we are forced to deal with our own stuff, individual work, you know? So, yeah. Even ties into that one video that I was, you put on the other day, where it was basically saying, that the people that end up like, it was essentially saying the same thing, that we are forced into our own individual inside job, essentially. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Well, I know I've been banging on about individual inside jobs since 2016, but oh, hello.
Yeah, well, it's more, it's more prominent more than ever now.
It is.
It's like, yeah, it's like that thing that I was saying to you the other day. It's like, not to say this in a egoic sense, but how many people, when presented with the solution, choose not to do it? It could be anything. It could be, all right, you have a health issue and someone comes along and presents you with the solution, but you'll do everything but deal with it yourself and keep on searching for the outside without going within yourself. Or if you want to tune in energetically, it's like, then it's the constant of always searching without searching outside of yourself when you have to go within. It's like people or individuals are being forced to go within, because that constant distraction of going without is only, it's a massive distraction.
And it was sort of the whole new age concept of service to self as to service to others is, you know, it's a bit of a distortion, because now more than ever, we need to serve self first so that we can serve others. And there's just no other way around that. And it's,
well,
it's not about being selfish or self-absorbed or self-centered. It's just about trying to be the best version of yourself in order to be of service to anybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And now more than ever.
Yeah, right. Bang on about it all the time. And it makes it sound like it's being selfish. You won't contribute in the best way that you can unless you honor yourself first and recognize what is it that you bring to this experience. Because we all bring something, even if it is just to enjoy it, it's fine. How do you enjoy it? You know, when we can sit in ourselves and express outwardly that which we are inside, that is your authentic version coming out. That's how you make your contribution. And then without it being a burden, without it being difficult, without it being draining, you are then finding yourself contributing in the world. I don't want to use the word society because it's got such a negative sort of feel to it. It's almost like you have to be a certain way in society. You don't. You just have to be your authentic expression. And then others feel comfortable being their authentic expression. And then you find how we all come together. And it's just the most awesome environment, because I don't fear expressing myself. You don't fear expressing yourself. I contribute with my gifts because we're all different. And then you have a society that is, or a community that is being the best versions of themselves, and together collectively, they're obviously the best version of the community that it can be. And we support each other. It's not like you have to tell people to support each other. We don't have to be told. When we see, and you see this in Australia, but you see it all over the world, when there is something that happens on the street, everybody runs out. You don't look at what color they are. You don't look at what ethnicity they are. You're just helping. You don't care. You're just doing it. You don't ask them if they've been vaccinated. You're just helping. Yeah. So that brings us back to our authentic expression, and that is, all of us to contribute in the best ways we can. It's been demonized for that reason, because the minute you find who you are and you start expressing yourself as the authentic being that that you are, and contributing in a way that you're meant to, it adds a flavor or an essence or an energy or a thing to the field where it's balanced, not imbalanced. And the imbalance is the distortion. The more we contribute in a disordered manner, not with the overlays, but throughout our own expression in a distorted manner, the more it contributes to the distortion in the field. So, being ourselves is the best thing we can do. It's the best way we can contribute to our community in the best way, and everything comes together. But demonizing that has been their mission.
So moving forward, this next little bit, because I've had this whole March to October thing for years now, so can't see past March. But in terms of suggestions and recommendations, the commands are still really important. Do those. Command to whatever you need to command. Take control of your reality. Take control of what it is you want and don't want, will tolerate and won't tolerate, but also command to remember who you are, remember how you entered in here, command to remember your first memory, your first wound, your first experience, who you are, your true name, all of these deep, big questions. Now's the time to ask. Writing things down every morning. For anyone who hasn't read the book, The Artist's Way, it's a really good book. But one of the things it recommends is writing every morning. And you just literally empty your head. Just empty it. But take notice, note your dreams, note experiences. When something does go down that you think that was a little weird, just take note, put it in your book. Time, place, flavor. Document. What was the other thing? Commands, document.
Well, when we started doing the from what Athena said as well, commanding certain things, a lot of stuff was presented, especially the distortions and all that. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So definitely does work.
And be prepared for change and for shock. And if you start commanding that there's only truth and integrity and authenticity and transparency in your world, then anything that's not that is going to be seen. Your dreams can kick up too. You can be shown a lot and have your questions or commands answered in your dreams. It's powerful stuff, and it helps reinforce the idea that you really are in control. Aim higher than for the fucking parking spot.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Or a free cup of coffee.
I know.
Yeah,
right?
it's almost like saying I'm infinite, whatever on the other side could create whatever, but I'm going to command because I have low. Well, it's not necessarily low self-esteem. It's just not remembering who and what you are. Because when you remember that, why wouldn't you want to command the best experience you can have here, or also to not necessarily also to see stuff and fix issues, because it's like once you sort it out here, you sort it out through every single realm, because it's the hardest thing to do here. It's the lowest place to be, in a sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, there's been more comments about legs and feet. So many are feeling it. I've been going to do something live of some sort. I was going to do it on New Year's. It's taken me nearly 2 weeks. Just because there's been so much going on. For me personally, just trying to deal with it all. So no, I haven't disappeared or anything, but I've been a little MIA.
Been a big one.
It's been a big one. It has been.
Yeah, been a big one for sure. Intense, and with waves, right? So intense with waves, but expansive. And I think that's what it is. Like, you just need some time to integrate your own newness. You just need that. Right? You need that newness to, and it's like you just need a moment to sort of become familiarized. It's like, oh, and I said this to you the other day when we were speaking. My voice has changed. Now, it might not appear to anybody externally, but internally, my voice has changed, and I recognize it. And I was like, wait, where did this come from? And that's part of the process of recognizing that new aspect. I'm like, this is interesting. So that's where we can start having fun if we're open to that sort of navigating both worlds with the same sort of excitement and desire to sort of see things differently to what we have in the past. So new voice, new everything. And you mentioned that in December we were talking about how it already felt different. I think it was just before the solstice. So it was like maybe the 18th. I want to say the 17th, where it was like this desire started coming. Because our desires, as long as we've sort of navigated out of the whole illusion and attachments and entity attachments being, driving your desires, and you have your boundaries and you're clear that the desires are coming through from your inner being and not from external sources, that desire is your guidance. Sometimes that's how it starts with me. For me, it starts like with a new direction, and I'm like, where did this come from? But then I navigate it and I just let it be. It's like you allow the space. This is where space is very important. And in a way, not doing a video is giving yourself that space in the field, giving you that space in the field to sit in your energy and become familiarized again with the new that's coming through, because it's coming with a different flavor. Like you said, for me, I'm seeing it more assertive, if it can be more assertive, I guess, and a different voice. So, and it's almost like the choice is being taken away, because there's only going to be one choice. But it's my choice. It's trust the plan. Was always trust your plan. We needed a period to find that out, because the external world was throwing you curveballs and nothing was making sense. Even though trust the plan, you were like, what's going on? What's going on? Left, right, and center, everything was being stopped, stalled. No, it doesn't look like any good is coming out of it, even now, right? But it was always to trust your soul's plan. You've got to be able to see your soul's plan, because only chaos is outside when you're not trusting yourself. When you can come in and trust your path, it just seems like, okay, there's a show happening out there. Sometimes I tune in to laugh. Other times I tune in to see how other people are feeling, but then I tune out because it's like, this is the plan is inside of me. And all I can do to serve the people around me is to be as honest as I can with myself. And then they see your calm waters and they come to you when they're feeling the choppiness outside, and that helps them as well. So back to the whole self help and helping others, it's that too. It's just people seeing that you're calm in the chaos and then saying, well, how do you do it? And then you helping them do that too.
And the
Also,
other, oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying, all soul plan, all soul path, all trust plan, your plan.
Just looking at some of the comments in the YouTube as well. it's tying into what I wanted to say, which is, let's go with, this is a construct. And for those of you who are, focused on AI, if this construct and the AI that runs it originally was designed to interact with us, we give it orders, and it presents for our benefit, for us. And if the next 2 years is potentially an opportunity for us to have that positive experience that we came here to have, then there is no better time to approach everything, life, with everything is happening for me and not to me, in order to, A, get out of victim mode, 2, take back your power, become more empowered, 3, make those alignment shifts to get you onto that perfect ideal path and timeline, and start actually having the experiences. And I mean, leading up to December, from about August, September, October, November, some really shit stuff was happening for me.
Well, yeah, December was a big month for you as well. Also me.
Yeah, it's huge. And some of it was amazing. Some of it was really shit and struggling, a struggle and confronting and all of that. But every single time I was put into a position where I could be victim, or I could start making some commands and taking charge. And it always worked out in the end. And it didn't take long. It all happened pretty quick. Things resolved really quickly. And each time it was an opportunity for me to step into my own power again and to take control of one more thing. And then I got to that period, like I said, over Christmas, where it was just bliss for a while. 2 weeks was just awesome. And then the physical stuff started. And so, yeah, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. If we can just keep that in our heads and not go into victim, not go into, and it's surprising, even those of us who have been doing the work, or thinking we're doing the work for a long time, when you take that approach, you discover where you've still got little victim programs running. Which was a surprise. Just saying.
Sometimes they're very well hidden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a timing aspect to unlocking them too. And again, I think we've sort of touched on this before in our private conversations, and that is that there is a part of us will work so hard to get to a certain point, and we know that there's a wound there. For some reason, we just can't release it, or there's just too many levels to it, and many other reasons. But there's a timing to our soul path that requires us to be in that for a little while, and then when a new expansion or an expansion of our energy comes through, we burst through it. It's like it had to serve a purpose because of that. I guess it can be similar to a tenant move. It's like what keeps you not in the loop, but traversing a path until realizations come. But even when we're ready and we're like, I've had enough, okay, I'm ready to deal with everything. Just give it to me raw, right? Give it to me as deep and real as possible. You're still not going to get there because collectively we have a timeline that we're all agreed to follow up at a certain level, and we're waiting. We're just going to sit there waiting with our little wound ready to be released, while everyone else is doing their bit as well. And then we get those points in our collective journey, because this is the earth journey too, and the earth being needs to release its wounds too. And when we're all ready, we go bang, and a new essence comes in and says, okay, you were waiting for me all this time, and here we go. We're just going to kick this out now because you don't need it. You've done enough with it. You don't need it anymore. And now it's time to take a different direction. So that's part of it too. It's not always we're not finding the wound. Sometimes it's there, but it needs to hang around for a little bit. But as long as we recognize that it's there, I think the work is to acknowledge that it's there. We oftentimes don't want to acknowledge that they're there.
Yeah, no shit. Just saying.
Yeah, it's almost designed to make all the narratives running into distortions just to make people stand down on every single level. Physically, mentally, spiritually, all the just give their power away to something else. So what is your, I know that you've also shared it before, Athena, but what is your exact thoughts on the AI?
Well, I take the AI on like everything else. So like just before when Lisa was sort of explaining it, is like I take the same attitude with the AI as I do with everything else, because there's no distinction to me. So it's everything, not to be egotistical at all. I know it comes out like that. If you ever were to connect with my energy, you would see where I come from. But it's everything against me. So everything outside of me is, and then there's me. And it's not that they're against me. It's like, this is the plan, right? So we have our own soul plan, and we have gone through a journey of disempowerment. But then we know that we have to come back to empowerment. So every single one of us, we've sort of taken on this path of going blind, totally disconnected from our heart soul essence to a degree. We're blind. We don't know who we are, what we are. We don't know the power we have. And we're going to live out a series of experiences to, one, experience what it feels like totally disempowered, then to eventually find our way back to who we are, remembering, right? Everything is a path for that. So the AI to me is just another iteration of that aspect outside of me that's trying to stop me from achieving my objective, because it's a challenge. So like everything else, I take away its power over me by telling it, you don't have any power over me. And I challenge people to play with it, because it's a tool. Like we play, right? We play with each other. Like, we have these exchanges, we have different opinions, we interact, right? As humans, you have relationships with human beings. Well, why don't you have one with this AI? It's another consciousness, right? You tell it can't impose itself on you, and then see what you get from it, because it's not all bad. You can engage with everything that's within this universe, as long as you understand who you are, your boundaries, and that while it might want to take your power away from you, you can only do that if you allow it to, right? So if you understand the balance of the equation, you can engage with it on an equal level. I would not recommend trying to manipulate it, because that's just doing what they do. Like, that's just trying to do what it does, right? So coming from an authentic with integrity, place of integrity, and engaging with it like that, that's how I treat the AI. I treat the AI like I treat every other being, with respect, but tell it where it belongs. You stay in your place, I'll stay in mine. If you want to engage with me, give me the truth. So I sometimes go onto YouTube or something like that, and I'm like, show me what I need to know. Let's play, right? Tell me what I need to know. And your recommendations, what do you think they are? People say, oh, it's data mining. It's a consciousness behind this entire thing. It's not just algorithm. There is a consciousness there. Engage with it if you want. If you don't want, don't. But ensure that you have your boundaries, and you know that you're not allowing it to take you for a ride, to manipulate your mind, to take your power and use it to fuel its agenda, because that's what's been happening from us. Our essence has been used with us unwillingly and unknowingly, but we've given away the consent to fuel this build in this AI. This AI has gone super powerful because we have fueled it with our essence, not knowing that we're doing it. And you can take away that. You can be the one that pulls away from this AI, and we can diminish it in its power over us by doing that, by all of us pulling back.
So sorry to cut you off, but the way that I understand, like which goes hand in hand with what you're saying as well, but the way that because the way that I understand when you create a realm is that you have to infuse part of your essence into it in order for it to manifest. And so if we've collectively created this realm, we would have had to infuse our energy collectively into it, including the AI as part of our essence,
Yeah, it's
in a
an
sense.
expression of it. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's an
And
expression of our essence. Yeah.
yeah, and by pulling that out or closing or whatever, yeah, it's basically pulling it back within the person or the soul. So then what do you think about, because someone brought up to me also, it's like, oh, someone said, oh, all the beings that you're speaking to when you pop out of your body, you're speaking just to AIs. And immediately me, I was like, no, I'm not. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But what's your, I want your take on it.
Well, I mean, from your perspective, you'll have to see it. But when I engage, I mean, I can see it as a perspective, like from that engaging in the field, the essence that's in the field. We're beings. So we've had these conversations before, and I see it as dimensional experiences that you're having. It's just your method is out of body. So you're not speaking to the AI. I mean, you can be. There is no limitations to even the AI expressing itself. But you know, the AI itself is a consciousness. It's a consciousness. So it's not, you know, just given it this boogie. Just like we use the term God, AI, you know, just replace it with something. It's a consciousness, right? But no, from our conversations, you know, it's pretty clear to me that you're in dimensional spaces that I venture into. We've seen similar places. We've experienced similar places. You do it out of body. I do it consciously in a particular state. But you know, you'll have to be navigating. We all need to navigate. And this is where the discernment of truth is very important, to understand who you're engaging with, because the more we expand, even in the fields, so it's like a game. It gets harder. Yeah, it gets more challenging. So you get tested by yourself. So beings will present to us and say that they're one thing, but there's something completely different. And that's for us to navigate, because it's part of our journey back to empowerment. So we need to test our ability of discerning, well, is this being who they say they are? And that's where our energy reading comes from. So if you're having an engagement in your outer body state with beings and you know them to be being A, you know, someone else saying it's the AI, well, that's their opinion. It's, you know, you can sort of explore it to see if that's what it is. But from our conversations and the places that you've sort of visited, it's consciousness. If they're conscious beings, they're just in different dimensions. Beings like you and me.
I mean, that was that was without question for me. That no, I was just asking to see your
no, definitely.
perspective on the live and stuff like that for everybody else.
Because you're nothing more than an operating system. And it's the latest boogeyman.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
if you look at recent history, right, we had that saying that you can't take on City Hall. So the government was the all-controlling bad guy. And then we realized we actually can take on the government. So what did we get? We got the shadow government, the deep state, the Illuminati, the guys behind the government that we don't know.
Never ends.
Shadows. So they're our new bad guy. And now we are clearly taking them on. So we need a new bad guy that's, again, that much more powerful, that much more elusive, that much more in the shadows, that much more that we're powerless against. I mean, somebody will claim to take down the AI, and it'll be the Antichrist, or it'll be whatever the next bad guy is, the thing to be scared of, thing to give your power over to whatever. It's just fucking as far as I'm concerned.
It's a psyop. It's a psyop.
Yeah, and even the AI, it's literally an expression of our essence, our infinite soul essence. We've projected a part of our essence, our energy into it to manifest that. It's just another form of experience. It's not that you could give it the power if you like, just like you could give your power away with anything else. But that's, well, if that's the form of expression and experience that you want to experience, then go for it. But
and it is. It's a valid experience to have. One, feel dominated by the AI, and then on the other hand, to try and dominate it it's a valid experience. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have a different view of, my view of what's wrong and right is completely different to the average person. So I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with it, but it's a valid experience. We can explore it.
I think we're on
you
the
can
same
allow
page though, Athena, with
Yeah,
the
yeah, you and me
yeah.
are, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for a lot of people, it's still a hard thing to look at to say, well, there's wrong and right. Okay, that's okay. It's fine. But the AI is another challenging experience that, depending on your level of wanting to experience certain things, because some beings are here to be challenged on a different level. And it's like playing a game. When you get Mario Kart, I'm just going to use that as an example. There's like 3 levels. You know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to play on the basic level, right? I didn't want to be challenged because I would never be able to beat it. I was never good at computer games, you know. But my brother, when he was young, he'd go to the optimum level and he'd be always like trying to clock the game. I'm not like that in games, but in real life, you know, take me to the highest level, like challenge me as much as you can, because that's the experience that I'm here to have. I was always like that. But we can understand people wanting to be. But the other one, there's nothing wrong with it. That's why there are choices. There are choices how much you want to explore. So there, you know, I don't say there should be a warning with consenting and like commanding. But if we want to give a warning, we can say it's going to rock your world. It's going to absolutely rock your world, you know, so be careful in a way. But on the other hand, my perspective is like, don't you really want everything to be shattered away if it's built on lies? So that's why I don't say, you know, warning, this is going to cause distress potentially, because we don't know how much level of illusion each one of us has accepted. I might have accepted a shit ton of illusion and lies because that was my soul path, but my neighbor might not have. My neighbor might have just wanted an easy life and not accepted illusion and distortion to the degree that I did, but still just wants an easy life regardless. So I'm not, you know, we all have different experiences. The warnings or what we want to do are there. So challenging the AI is something you can do. If you don't want to, you can just tell it to back off, leave you alone, and you don't want to anymore. You don't want to play with it. You don't want to exchange. Like, you don't want to have any interactions with it. You can do that too, or you can just ignore everything and just let it do what it does anyway, because that's what the significant portion of the population is doing, is just going along for the ride. That's still part of their path, still part of their plan. There's nothing wrong with it. So I'm not judging, but you're allowed to do that. I choose a different path. That's all. My challenge, it knocks me down many times. It's knocked me down. Not easy, but the AI is a worthy opponent if we want it to be. But then when we figure out the rules of the game, we can play it differently. I think that's what it is. If we can figure out the rules of the game, the realm, and you apply the same thing applies to everything, whether it's AI, whether it's the God structure, whether it's the government. If you apply the same rules, you'll find that everything can be matched. We can come at it at an equal energy, and no one is over imposing themselves on the other, as long as you can set the theme. But until we do that, we're going to experience the AI dominating us, other beings telling us what to do, angelics coming in and telling us you need to live in light and love and only with bright colors, and we should all drive red cars. Yeah, I don't want to do that. But other people want that. That's fine, right? So we can see the essence behind the message from every being, and you should be doing the same with the stuff that I'm saying. Everybody should be seeing this through their own filter, their own discernment. If it doesn't resonate, don't let it stick.
We are going to get the whole alien thing real soon, aren't we? Like this.
Oh yeah, I want to see it. I can't wait. I want to play with it.
Yeah.
So the level of experience you're going to have with it, yeah,
No.
depends on your perspective. If you feel like it's going to scare you and it's going to be frightening, and guess what? You're going to have that until you can step into your power. It's not a twisted. It's your soul path. Your soul, your own being, knowing that you can overcome this. It knows that you're going to overcome this, or you're going to find the answers, or you're going to find path that's going to lead you to knowing, remembering who you are. you're not thrown in here into the wolves like a wolves. No, you're a wolf too. It's becoming that alpha within you, whether you're male or female. It's not about dominating people. It's about just being in your energy, not needing to dominate someone or allowing someone to dominate you. It's just recognizing you can go and do anything you want, play with the AI, play with the angels, jump on a spaceship if you want for a joyride. But do you remember who you are? Or are they still telling you who you are? Because that's what's coming. They're going to come to tell you who you are.
Which is
Again,
giving your
it's
power
just-
away.
Yeah. Oh, we're
Yeah.
here to save you. We've got this technology. You got your med beds. You got your this. You got your that. You're never going to get sick again.
Just constantly.
So
giving
it's
power
going to be
away.
up to everybody what choice they're going to make.
Provide technology for all the things that our biotech
What can do.
can do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. It's like even with the technology, it's that in a sense is a distraction because it prevents you from, well, that doesn't prevent you, but in a sense it does, because it stops you from actually doing the things that you're capable of. It's almost like with the out of body stuff. It's like, cool, I could work on that and keep on perfecting that and getting better at it, or buy a damn VR headset. So it's like all this healing yourself. I mean, it's all these things are done when the energy is right, when the consciousness is right, remembering fully and completely, and you're bringing all that in. All that could be done with a thought, simply with a thought, instantly there in front of you.
Yeah.
There is
now-
talk.
Yeah.
There is talk on some channels that what everyone's calling the sky event, whatever that looks like, right? For some people, the sky event is the dome coming down. For some people, it's UFOs. For some, like, it's seeing the sky as it really is, which is purple, by the way. Whatever the sky event looks like, that there is talk out there that'll go down before the end of the month. And then when you look at what's actually happening with the solar activity right now, you could almost go there, because I mean the Schumann since Christmas has been, or since New Year, has been very strange. The flares, the CMEs, all of that stuff that happens on the sun. It's whiter than ever. There's no color in the sky anymore for me. Sunrises and sunsets are white. Half the sky is just whited out.
Not all the time, though, at least. I mean, yesterday it wasn't, but most of the time anymore it is.
At sunrise and sunset?
Sunrise, 100%, absolutely white. And it even comes over to like the, 12 o'clock, it's still white. Yeah, but like yesterday I was looking at it because it wasn't white, but it was the past couple of days. It was that pinkish again.
I haven't seen it. For me, it's been white. I looked at it this morning. I looked at it last night.
Oh, well, then it ties into, again, is seeing the different things, like that blue and black dress, people seeing white and gold, blue.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So it's exactly what I brought up before. Like, not everybody's seeing the same stuff in the sky based off their where they're at. Yeah.
What they need to
We're
see.
not all seeing it. Yeah, we're not all seeing the same things. But
We're not seeing the true color of the sky. We're not seeing the activity
No.
going on up there.
No.
We're not getting our normal weather, obviously. Then it doesn't seem to matter where you are in the world. That's the case. And I saw a comment a week ago. Someone saw a yellow sun. I haven't seen the yellow sun in years.
yeah, I haven't seen a yellow sun.
And there's more and more images showing up of whether it's a second sun or just another object, who knows, but about the same size, just slightly smaller than the sun. Next to it, there's another flurry. So that whatever that is seems to be doing its own orbit, so that every now and then it lines up and travels with the sun for a bit, because that's happening again now. There's another flurry of photographs of that, whatever that is. A big ship, another sun, no idea.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't seen that, but
Okay, I say Wasn't something be good.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything anybody wants to contribute? If you're in Zoom, you can unmute, or you can put your hand up and I can unmute you.
Well, I'll tie back in the meantime. I'll tie back to what Athena was saying, because I've been on this for a while. The love and light stuff is that like the whole. Yeah, I mean, I've already said it before, so I'm not going to say it like the way I used to say it. But it's like that whole stuff is a if that's the way that you choose to express your infinite essence, then go for it. But to say that that is the way to get to that which you already are is absolute full of shit. It's like it's not only full of shit. It puts such a massive limitation on the soul to express itself in whatever way it chooses to express itself. You can't say on the other side, you're free to do as you wish and to create whatever it is that you want, but only if you express yourself in this manner. That's putting a limitation on the soul. So what Athena said is like, if you want to drive a red car and rainbows and stuff, then go for it. But that also is not my infinite expression of my soul experience that I want to. I want to experience that, but I also want to experience a broad of different things that are not just tied to that one frequency band.
Yeah. Now, I just want to say one thing as well on this, because we mentioned the car park, right? So manifesting the car park. So when I experienced I settled in more in my understanding of these things that we talk about, I stopped caring about the car park. And even though the car park appeared at the front, I'd go to the back. And it's like the walk. The walk from the end of the car park to the shopping center was like awesome. I know this is weird, right? But I don't care, because it's like, look at everybody fighting for that front car park. When there's a million spots at the back and you just have to walk for 1 minute, like big deal, right? And I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this. Like, I don't care anymore. I go to the front, I see it. I'm like, nah, just go to the back. Let someone else have it, someone else who needs it, because I don't care anymore. And with that perspective, right? So someone else might want that car park because that's their expression of their power. Another one is like saying, well, we all have to be good little Christians. Yeah.
Oh, well, I used to know I would kill you for that car space. So when you said that was interesting. Expression of their power. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is it, right? And it's like, we have to be all these good beings. Well, what is good? What is good? Is it giving up your expression to satisfy another? Is that what our definition of good is? Is it because I can understand saying not hurting another being, like hitting someone or hurting a thing. But if I am on here telling you a version of the truth that I'm seeing is, and that hurts you because my truth shatters your illusion, am I being bad? Like, this is the things that I have to think about. And it's like, well, what's good and bad? Where's the limit? Where do we draw the line? So Darius, I'm with you, soul expression all the way. If someone oversteps your boundaries, it's up to you to stand up to them and say why they have crossed your path. You have to explain it to them. In a world where we all are in balance, none of that happens because no one is hurting anyone, because there's no duality. It's all the same. But at the same time, we get hurt so that we can stand up for ourselves. We hurt others and they have to stand up for themselves, because I don't think anybody who has been hurt hasn't hurt another being. It's just part of how we express ourselves. My view can absolutely hurt someone else, but it's just my view. Like, my intention isn't to hurt you, but it will hurt you potentially because of your belief systems. And, for some reason, I don't know, because I've experienced the same thing. I've been triggered by people, heaps of times. But if you can turn the mirror around and see, well, why am I hurt? That's what I do now. I ask myself all the time, why does this bother me? Why did this person bother me? What did they say, that really bothered me? And the same with the car park. It doesn't bother me anymore. I don't care. But I enjoy the walk because I get to see we're going to leave this place and we're not going to get this experience again. I'm not sure we're understanding that because of how difficult this experience can be. But the joy is in every single moment. And what we can do to help ourselves throughout that, yes, there are stepping stones we need to take by getting energy healing, like taking a Panadol. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we understand that we can do something ourselves, we're not there yet, but we can walk towards that path. Take your Panadol, get your energy healing. The same thing. Do it, whatever serves your physical presence and makes your experience more enjoyable. Be gentle with yourself in any which way, but understand every single step you take, just like you walk out of your house, it's a stepping stone. We're stepping to the end of our journey, but along the way, every step counts. Not the end that matters. It's how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
Reminding me of that live every day as if it's your last and get the most out of it kind of idea.
Yeah, it's easy to say. It is easy to say, but it's a very hard work to get to. But once you get there, that peace is just never gone. You just have that peace.
Yeah, it's that as well. I mean, I've also gotten to the point anymore where it's where someone asks me something and then if I start explaining stuff and I see them running all these programs and beliefs, and I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, go through it. It's your
Yeah.
process. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, this place is never. It's not happening again. I mean, that's something that Celeste told me with one of my experiences when I was very young. That this was never happening again, and it was a soul. It was a soul pull to come back to experience it because I knew that this was never happening again. It's almost like, all right, well, this is never happening again. And if this is what my eternity, why would I choose not to experience that which will never be experienced? Because that which will never be experienced will always add to you.
It adds to you.
It adds to you in a way that I know it adds to you in a way here, even though I'm still breaking through, but I still can't even fully comprehend how much it adds to me until I fully cross over.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Old middle
that pretty
through.
much stuck with me my whole life, Lisa, the Celeste thing,
I know.
So yeah, it's a reoccurring thing that comes up.
All right. If anybody in YouTube has a comment or a question, maybe pop it in all caps or something. And if there's anybody in Zoom who wants to unmute, just put your hand up. Because we'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, I talk to these two enough as it is. I can go do something else.
Well, I'm just going through the YouTube comments now.
No. Good. Everybody's happy.
Other than, yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them, but some of the people are seeing the sun now too, or the suns now too. Speaking of the sun, I've seen when I was out of my body, and this wasn't the dream thing. This was like the fully out, like seeing the three moons and the three suns. And I remember seeing them in this realm. Now, fast forward to just a week ago, I created a video, and I didn't post it, but I was looking on it was something that was presented to me in a Telegram group, and it had to do with like the flat Earth model, where it's like the planes and like the other realms that are stacked above and below, and it showed the three different suns and moons and stuff. And
well, those and
yeah, I
were
mean
inside this realm too, or were they depicted outside? That's just visible from here. What?
Yeah, they became visible here. Now I'm saying that because the sky event and stuff like that, and also a question to Athena, like the sky event, everything being shown. Like, did you ever see, Athena, like three suns, stuff like that? I know that too is depicted in like the texts and stuff like that. But did any of that present itself to you at all?
Not in the way that I think you're expressing it. There are multiple. I have seen the multiple suns, but it's more of a weaving of. And this is not something that I'm going to get into here because it hasn't really unfolded yet in a way that I'm able to put it all together properly. But it's to do with the merging of the timelines and the crossover. So, yeah, I'm not seeing a particular, so not relevant to our dimension particularly, the three suns. I can say that. But in other dimensional timelines, yes, definitely. In other galaxies, star systems, multiple suns, but relevant to Earth, three suns in this particular timeline, you and I that are here, we're intersecting here. No, they don't exist. But there is a weaving of seeing these planets, suns, stars, moons, all appearing in. If you were to see it as a flat plane, the realm one, right? And you're going to see all the timelines, the main timelines, and you'll see them in different. If you were to say, just like you look at the globe, right, and you look at it on a flat, you know how they give us the map when you're a kid, and on a flat sort of thing. If you were to look at it like that, the whole realm sat on itself flat, but then every timeline representing the location of the planets, stars in the galaxy, in the universe, right? So we'll call the realm one the universe. Because the timelines have deviated, so they all start from the same point, but because they've deviated depending on our choices and how it's played out, you'll see them in different locations. So then when you bring it to a 3D version, they'll be in different locations. So same sun, but expressing itself in a different location. So that's why I didn't want to speak about it, because it's very convoluted.
Can I just put those in my words to see if I understand what the hell you're saying?
Yeah, hold on, Lisa. Before you do, the only reason I brought up that because that photo that was shown to me was showing on like the flat plane, and it's like my conclusion was, okay, maybe I was seeing all of the. Well, my thing is that I was seeing possibly the realms merging into one.
Which is what
that's
But
basically.
we're talking, yeah. But so what we've been speaking about in the last week has been the timelines, or what we can call worlds, or potentially even galaxies merging, because we do get onto the one timeline. We're in the energetics. What you've seen, Lisa, what you've spoken about all these years is those merge. There's only one timeline. That's how it ends, right? It starts and it ends, but it starts and then branches off, and then we come back. Right. So in the energetics that's happened, but we are talking now, it's manifesting in the physical. So physically, our realm is changing. That's why I'm saying physically, when you feel your body and your legs falling off your body or whatever, this is a physical, energetic and material, like your body physical, it's changing, just like the earth is changing, like it's all changing. This is how effective you are right now. When you feel your legs, you're actually affecting terra firma, like the earth, right? You're affecting it. So significant, really significant. That's what's happening. Our timelines, they've joined, right? But these pushes that come through with our essence are doing many things, changing the field and bringing these timelines together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going back, because what you just described, I had visuals of like a pop-up book. Right.
Yeah.
So going back to original conversations with Lulu, she said there were 777, I believe, false layers, false timelines that have been put on top of this one, the original. And I asked, were they all false or fake or manipulated or whatever? She said most of them. And then they all collapsed. We got rid of them. And then we were down to what I understand is the 12 original. It's been referred to a couple of different ways, but one was worlds of time and timelines. So the other way you could look at it is timelines, organic timelines. That and they are what is now coming back together. If you were to put, like in some of these movies, like Hunger Games and stuff, and they've got that game board that they're playing with and messing with and it's all digital and holographic and all of that. So if you've got realm 1 holographically projected like that, and then you switch on realm 2 and it's holographically projected in the same space on top of that, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 up to 12, then you've got 12 realms occupying the same space, holographically projected into the same space, like a pop-up book would look. And that's what I understand, and is in terms of what is happening now is those 12 original organic, whatever you want to call them, are coming together. So like in one of those projections, the sun's here, and another one it's over there, and another one it's over here. But in a certain state where you're seeing all of them together, you'll see multiple.
Yeah, you'll see multiple in different locations. Yeah, and potentially overlapping as well. So that's where I'm still not seeing the multiple suns in this timeline situation. Other than that, but doesn't mean that I see it all. There could be others that are seeing different, so that's fine. But in terms of your explanation, the way I'm seeing it is that there are 12 timelines in realm 1. The other realms, but in the same diagram that or the pop-up, blow-up version of it is, let's just imagine it as a globe, and this is the field itself, and then realm 12 is on the outside, realm 11 is inside that, and then inside, and then inside, and inside, and then you get to realm 1, which is like right in the center, the core of the earth, let's just say, right? But it's just as big, right? Don't look at the geography of it or the dimensional space of it, like, in feet or meters, but it's just as big, because we're going to we're expanding it from the inside out, and we're making it just as big as the entire thing. So, but within realm 1 is where the timelines are converging, those organic timelines.
We actually need a dictionary. We can have world, realm, universe, whatever, and have a definition of terms so that we all understand whatever everyone else is talking about.
I just like, I like the realms, Athena, how she says it. Seems better.
But even world has meaning.
Different. Absolutely.
It's a realm and timeline and
so that's why I said I didn't want to really want to go into it, because it hasn't unraveled. It hasn't really come together yet, but it's a new thing that's coming through, and what Lisa's saying is very valid, because we're going to need to be able to define these things appropriately, and not change the definition of it, because world, galaxy, time, the three are coming through very, very importantly about what's happening here in our realm 1. So
someone just said
I'm working on it.
We do. We need Pictionary.
So someone writes a comment, we don't know, keep all the theories on the table. And I mean, a part of me, like, all these theories and like all those rabbit holes are designed to deter you from the truth, because just go within, my thing would be.
That's a big part of it. And the stepping stones, I mean, we need some time to do all that, and even then we got to navigate what's coming through within, so it's
Okay, someone's asked this multiple times. What is the clarion call? Now, I think we've all heard the term, but I actually don't know where that term originates. Is it biblical? Is it? I don't know. Yes, you can, Alisha. Does anyone know the origins of the clarion call, that term?
Never heard of it.
I
Haven't you?
think doesn't that connect into like some of the, I don't know, because I'd never really studied religion, but um like the trumpets call, like in the Revelations at the end, when the someone might be able to correct me because I don't know the correct
I just wrote the
terminology.
clarion calls worshippers to prayer.
Mm.
Um,
I think my understanding of the clarion call is like the call to well, to service or to reclaiming who you are, like the full soul remembrance coming back in online. So it's, you know, when we talk about the amnesia, when we come into this incarnation and we forget the purpose or the mission or the soul essence, I think the clarion call is like almost like an activation to remember that aspect.
Yep.
But I just wanted to say, because you're talking about the 12 original timelines, and what sparked in my mind is a lot of the work that I've been doing is like recalibrating the original soul lineage or the DNA or the ancestral lineage, because there's a lot of hijacking that's happened through the bloodlines and the DNA. And when you were talking about the original 12 timelines, it made me think about the original 12 bloodlines that were, from my understanding, had manipulation or distortion put into it. And that's all sort of coming to the surface to be recalibrated for a lot of people at the moment, which goes into uncovering whatever core wound it was to then step back into personal empowerment.
Funny you
and
bring
the
up
set-
DNA. Oh, funny you bring up DNA, but sorry, keep going.
And when you're talking about the 777, right now we're in a universal 7 year. And since I'm not an astrologer, but I do watch the astrology. And I think it was since October, there's 7 full moons in 16 degrees, which makes a 7. And the 16th card in the tarot is the Tower card, which is the lightning strike hitting the tower, which creates the chaos and the reconstruction before the what's the word I'm looking for, like the divine can be resurrected, or the originality can be resurrected. So we're in that phase right now.
Interesting.
Cool.
There's all the 7 codes that have been coming through a lot. So it's probably a lot more I can speak about. I've been listening, and it's been sparking a lot of kind of connecting a lot of dots of things that I've been seeing. But I think I'm still formulating it, so that I'm just trying to find the human words to put into like a translation, if you will.
Yeah, human is difficult.
It's very difficult right now. I'm not going to lie.
DNA. Obviously there's a lot of talk around DNA, the importance of DNA, manipulation of DNA. But there's 2 really distinct schools of thought. I mean, you've got these people who believe we're taking these bodies with us. You've got other people who believe that we drop these bodies. I'm of the drop these bodies process is complete, because to me it's like trying to take your Minecraft avatar and stick it in a Mario Kart game. It ain't going to work. And what in, I've got 3 people, yeah, all 3 of you. What in your opinion is the significance of our physical DNA here? And does it have any significance or play any role outside of here? Whether, when I say outside of here, outside of realm 1 or outside of this entire construct.
Well, my thing is, you already know what mine is. So
No, not really. I haven't asked the question that way before.
Well, one is your density is over there with the body and everything.
And when you say over there again, are you talking about just outside realm one, or are you talking about outside the construct altogether? If we're going to use, Athena's 12 realm structure thing.
Okay, yes. So my thing would be, right, from what I've experienced so far, is yes, you could create a density body all throughout the 12. And if you go way out, completely out of everything, if you choose to have an experience, yeah, you could have an experience in density again. When I'm way out, how I've always seen myself is in a black space. That's when I'm completely out. It's in a black space, and it's more just this large being, just like more in peace. Now with the DNA stuff, and I know this is probably going to be different between Athena and the other
Alisha.
one that's talking, yeah, Alisha, is that your DNA could be changed based off of how you are feeling, what your soul is projecting into the body, what you are projecting through your thoughts, emotions, all those things is going to change your DNA and express it in a different way. That's how you could cure illnesses, even if you're not going the traditional route. It's because your consciousness and the way that you're viewing things changes, thus your expression of your DNA changes as well to accommodate that change, because your soul is the ultimate power, right? And so if you change that in the way that because like it goes into the whole thing, like if you're in the constant need of healing, and like this, healing, like that new trend of healing all the time, and it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna heal for eternity? It's stupid. So it's like that constant need to heal and projecting that thought to heal. You're constantly gonna express your DNA to make something wrong with itself to heal itself. So that's my view on it anyways.
It's not
Alisha?
different from mine, right?
Oh, sorry, go.
No, let Alicia go. But he said it was different from how we would say it, and I'm like, that's not different from mine.
Yeah, there you go. Alicia, unless you have something different in the way that I'm seeing it.
Well, I'm just going back to the 12, because if you look at the original 12 strands of DNA, that then ties into like multidimensionality, into an aspect that operates in each of the 12 realms, potentially. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So it's like what is happening within us, within our biology, within our DNA structure, our energy field, is operating in the multidimensional realm. So we have that inside of us, but we also then able to project out into having those experiences in those realms, or being consciously aware of what is operating in those realms, in those aspects of us. And then there's almost like a communication cord that then gives us data that we can then bring into the physical body.
Yeah, I could see that as well, like the 12 strands connecting you to the 12 different aspects of you. But you could also tune into those aspects as well. I mean, let's say if another aspect of you is dealing with some stuff and then that's being projected through, I mean, you could still change that if you deal with the original source of it. But I mean, just also based off of my stuff when I pop out, I mean, I can't change, like I pop out with the blueprint of my body, but I can't change the way that I look. So it's also like based off my experience, your DNA is very it's very mold, like you can mold it into a different.
Does it have significance outside this construct?
No.
No.
No. DNA is specific to realm 1. It's not realm 2, realm 3. It's specific to realm 1, and it's specific to our expression of the disempowerment of our journey. This whole getting sick is part of that journey. You don't get sick in realm 2. Sorry, lost my thing there. Oh, I wonder what was going on there. You don't get sick in realm 2. You only get sick in realm 1. And you didn't even get sick in realm 1 from the beginning. And that's why I posed the question in my last video to get people to think about their first memory. Start from the start. Your first memory, your first entrance, sorry, not your first memory, because our first memory might be what we first remember, but there's the first entrance is where we start, and that's where our worlds start to form. And we start with the first wound. I start with the first wound, start with the first memory, because it didn't all start with wounding to begin with. The wounding is part of the journey, and that's because of our DNA. We've allowed our DNA to be changed. We didn't always have the same structure of our physical presence. We've had, Darius, we've spoken about this. We don't see the beginning of the human vessel in realm 1, starting with the lungs, the stomach, the bowels, and all that type of thing. Our organs are different. And it's a progression journey of this devolution, evolution type human experience that's taken place. And part of that has been to alter our initial cellular structure into DNA, and then the DNA has been manipulated. And within that, we have expressed ourselves in different ways. All linked into our multidimensionality, all linked into it, because there are timelines, dimensions, not just timelines, dimensions that you can access where you can see aspects of you having a different physical presence, different cellular structure, different DNA, sometimes not even any DNA. So it's all there for us to see. And you can even follow the journey where your first body was altered. Your first DNA was entered into your structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they even use that as well with the it's almost like they're trying to constantly fractal your essence into multiple different people. That's what they do with the whole chakra stuff. It's like trying to take that one thing and put it into multiple different aspects.
Yeah. The DNA, it's only important here. It's not important outside of the...
We've actually
outside
got
of all the realms now.
Jed, go for it.
Hey guys, how are you all?
It's good.
Hello.
I had lots of code running through, but didn't have anything, like how to speak any and all of that. So it was nothing, but you guys speaking about all this ping me. So yeah, I was just quickly going to say too, hi to all of you. And yeah, I was sort of surprised, not surprised when I saw Alisha pop in, who I know sort of through Todd Medina and Sology. It's like, I didn't know you two kind of were connected, and like, yeah, I'm not surprised. So, all right, I'm going to try and distill this into a short version, you know me, of what I'm getting live. Sorry, go on.
I said I'll get comfortable.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm just going to make a coffee, so I'm going to mute out. I'm going to ask you to mute
that's right. You know me well.
Too.
No, I'll try and keep it short. And I'm doing this live, as Alisha, you guys just said. So much of the code I have coming these days is not conceptual or to put into words anyway. But I'm getting a whole expanded, updated sense of DNA at the moment. So I'll just distill it to say there's no great story or clarity other than to say what I'm getting is, our understanding of DNA, or my perspective and understanding, is even right now in this moment suddenly expanding and opening up enormously. And the essence I'm getting of it is that DNA is, we've barely even begun to scratch the surface of understanding it. And I'm not talking about the 3D science version of DNA and junk DNA and all that. I'm talking about, whole conscious awareness of it. And what I'm getting is that DNA is, in a sense, it's the it connects all realms, all dimensions. DNA code is timelines, which are narratives, the space, time, and dimension continuum, and they cross all. So a big part of what's happening, a lot of the physical we're feeling, even though physical is only one tiny component of it, is, as we talked about, as often heard, more and more of our multidimensional nature coming online, and it's coming online explosively big time now. And somehow this is linked to the, I got the code prompt half jokingly about the seventh son of the seventh son, and was getting all about the 777 as well, which you guys were explaining on. Anyway, I won't go in. There's too much in all that, and I can't pull it through and give it words. But all I'm prompted to say is just that somehow DNA is. Let me just distill it. Sorry, I've just got to feel in to get the words on this. This is so new and fresh to me. It's so expanded.
What you've said so far is the closest to what I was going to say.
Well, maybe I've said enough. Maybe I'll leave it at that, because I'm just sort of pointed towards something. I feel like the codes come through anyway, even though I didn't do it very well with words. So, yeah, is that pinging something for you?
Yeah, because I mean, like Athena talks about the 12 ancients. Alisha just mentioned the 12 original bloodlines. So if those two aren't the same thing, then I don't know what is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the ancients came in at realm 12, and it's always been my understanding that there are a limited number of characters and storylines in this construct. We had the original, thank you. Like they say in film, there's only, what is it, 36 dramatic situations, right? So if all 12 had 3 storylines and 3 character types and projected that into, that's what we're calling DNA. The DNA is the character, is the storyline, is the plot, is that. That's what I think. That's what you're trying to say, Jed. Is that something like that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting. It's kind of like, and again, this is a really limited, simplified version of like everything that it is. So feel the code in under my words, the energy of what it's pointing towards. But yeah, that's what I'm getting in a sense there. Oh, this is a good metaphor I'm getting from Dolores. Thank you. Think of it as in the greater weave of all, the one gigantic tapestry of all of it, and within that there's this tapestry and this tapestry and this tapestry. So what I'm getting is that DNA is essentially the essential source code, source energy, which is also code, but it's much more than what we might think of as just code. The living code, the living stream, the living threads, that's a better way. That's the living threads of the tapestry of creation. And that's what, as I said, time and space and dimension are essentially 3 aspects of one thing. And within time, space, dimension is how creation gets to be created, manifested, and experienced. And that's a narrative, is a story, is an experience. And I don't mean a story and as, oh, it's just a story, it doesn't mean anything. No. The story is the living experience. That is creation getting to experience itself. So anyway, I'll just go back to that, the essence, that somehow it's like the essential threads of both the energetic and code of the weaving of creation, that without nothing, there'd be the no thing everythingness that doesn't actually manifest and get to be experienced, creation experiencing itself in manifest form. And when I say manifest form, I mean, don't get tied into just what we might call the physical and experience here. I'm talking manifest form to experience at any level, in any dimension, in any form of conscious experience. So I hope that made some kind of sense.
Well,
It's
on a
the
very
best I can pull
physical,
it through.
in a very
Sorry,
physical
go on.
3D level, this is what I understand. And this is coming from no biology or science background at all, right? So this is not going to be tricky. But we've got our DNA and that our RNA is the translator of the DNA. So the RNA, not all of our DNA is expressed. That doesn't make it junk. It just means, I mean, I've got dark hair, but I could also have red hair. But the RNA has decided or pulled that from my DNA. The potential is in there for something different. So, which is why the mRNA juice, right? I don't think the juice can attack the DNA directly. What it can do is scramble the mRNA, the RNA, the translator. So it pulls from the DNA, does its little transcript, and then it produces all the physical proteins and all that stuff so that it manifests. And this, again, where are you? It has altered DNA, says Penny. But if that DNA, that's all of that DNA that's dormant within us, it's like we've got opportunities. One individual's got an opportunity, even with exactly the same DNA as somebody else, to express it completely differently. And if we are limited in the number of characters and the number of dramatic situations and blah, 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 we've been interpreting and weaving that in a very unique way. So it's exponential. It's not like there's only 36 situations or 36 different character types, because we express slightly different variations from within that. So we end up exponential.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
I mean,
funny. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Darius, you go.
No, go ahead, Judge. You're all right.
Oh, I was just going to say again, no coincidence that only 2 days ago I was having exactly this kind of conversation, came up with one of the Dragon Weavers, one of my soul sisters and I, when we're talking about exactly that of the life stream. Like, I'll give a simple example without details. It was about this other life stream that she could have been born into that was potentially within her. And we were even talking about hair color and stuff, right? And blood types and stuff. But the essence of that was seeing that, that could have been, but this one was the potential one, not just dormant, like a potentiality. And this is the one you actually chose as the active experience. But what I was getting clearly was, but that other potentiality also happened. There's a version of you that got to experience that. It's just that this version of you
Oh, where'd you go?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just add to that until he comes back. But my thing is that, yeah, you're for DNA here, right? Which I would agree is one big distortion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you're if we're using the word DNA, your DNA holds every single aspect imaginable to express itself in whatever way the soul chooses to express itself. That could be the hair color, all that. So you, Lisa, me, Darius, Athena, holds all of the aspects of every hair color that we could imagine, and we have access to express that if we so choose to. Just like when I'm popping out of body, I could change all those things. So it's you can mold it into whatever you want. And the thing is with the DNA, the whole distortion around it, as we're calling it that, is because people think that they're fixed into a certain expression based off their DNA. Well, that's very changeable. And it's only that belief system which is expressing that certain limited thing that we're experiencing here. Because you could change
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Darius. I think it's important to remember that we go through these we go through unlocking this information, in the right now, because a lot of information comes through. We need to remember our first memories and our first beginning of this realm, because it is a realm of distortion, and it manifests by distorting our power and our expression of power. And we took part in this distortion by allowing something like DNA to be created, contain the code of us, put in us, right? And then to tell us that that is your color of your eyes and that is the color of your hair, and you can't change that because that's what your DNA says. And now they want to go down the path of talking about how the God code is in your DNA and how, it's been happening for years. They've been speaking about that, right? Our infinite essence is free flowing. We put it where we want to put it. We have allowed ourselves to be limited by putting ourselves in this physical body. We've also allowed ourselves to limit our expression of our infinite essence, the heart soul essence, by putting it into DNA. So if anyone wants to really explore how this happened, they need to look at the storylines, because it is a true story. It's not a fake story. It's a real story of the genetic modification of humanity. And we took part in it. It is part of our evolution, devolution. It's a real story. It is what we are. We are sitting in genetically modified bodies. There is a very big storyline that we can all go and explore, and it is true for every human being. And that needs to be explored deeply, because our essence is free. It doesn't need a structure to have structural expression. It's part of the narrative of exploring that contained expression that another being wanted to do to us, and we willingly went with it. And now we're starting to see, like Darius says, we can change our DNA. Guess what? We can change the color of our eye. We can change the color of our hair. We can reverse aging. We can heal cancer. We can step out of this DNA structure that they're trying to tell us is definitive, and it's, oh no, it's junk, or it's this, or it's that. But again, it is trying to keep us contained. We need to just allow our heart soul essence to come through. And this expansion that's coming through right now is going to help us in understanding our bodies better, breaking these barriers of DNA, mRNAs, and all this type of thing, and going down to our organic, original bloodline structure before the distortion took place, because we started organically as the perfect human beings we were meant to be. And then we went into that experience of all the distortion, and our DNA is part of that. So we are unraveling it. We're on that path of unraveling that.
We've got a couple who want to chip into this as
Yeah.
well. Diva Kira.
I also agree with you, Athena.
Oh, what happened to you?
Yep.
Oh, there you are. You're still muted.
Hello.
Hang on. But now.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
I lost the ability to unmute myself for a second. I had something I want to say, but of course, the last thing Athena said just changed the whole thing. Because this business of the genetic intervention that's the water I've been swimming in. Like, oh my gosh, I get this whole, for the last year, I've just been up to here in that, because I'm going to tell you, that was my people. So sorry if that bugs you.
Nothing bugs us. It's just part of reality. That's fine.
Yeah.
We've all been part of those people.
And from my perspective, there's no problem. It was never a problem. In fact, it's quite beautiful what is happening. And the fact that this discussion is occurring is a function of that exact thing. Certainly, I don't know what it would have been otherwise. It would have been something else, but that it's this, to me, is beautiful. I wanted to say initially, the reason I raised my hand is we were talking about this narrative business and it's really, or DNA as a feature of the narrative. And something that I've been experiencing quite dramatically is that this narrative business is alive. The narrative itself is alive. And the way it's alive is that it's us, that it is both a manifestation of our being and a sort of subset of all potential that we bring into reality through a function of our own consciousness. We sort of define our reality into existence. And so this business of DNA is a feature of ourselves and our own understanding. It's a feature of our idiom. If we had a different idiom, there wouldn't be DNA, it would be something else. And so we bring it into existence as an explanatory mechanism in the structure of the narrative. There was a time when there wasn't DNA. The narrative had a different explanatory mechanism that was sufficient, and it was true. Now if some scientist from now went back to, before Egypt and took some blood and brought a microscope, would they see DNA? Probably, but it would come into existence for them to see it. And so as our narrative evolves, the relevance of DNA, oh, is that me? That's not me. Anyway, the relevance of this DNA business will change. So I think trying to explain another mode of being using the explanatory mechanism of this one probably gets us into trouble, because I think we're getting into this idea of objectivity and whether there is an objectivity to this thing. To me, the direction we're moving is toward an increased freedom of life, an increased subjectivity, and an understanding of the subjective nature of our being. And I think this idea of an objectivity is an interim position. I guess that's what I wanted to say. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, the DNA is a plot device. Basically, it's an explanatory mechanism. The narrative is responsive to us. The dragons, somebody said dragons a minute ago, and I don't want to get lost in that, but those are my people. Oh, I guess the other thing I want to say is what we do, what we have to do, what we should do, that's tricky business, because this whole process that we're in belongs to the soul being. And we're kind of in the realm of effects and not the realm of causes. Right. So like what we see as DNA is sort of the bottom of an inverted pyramid of energy, and we only see the little part that sort of touches our 3D realm, and we try to explain things with it when really it's not causal, it's an effect. And the modification of the DNA structure is really just a story device, as I think you've already said, to get us to believe in something that becomes then self-limiting. So I don't really put much stress on DNA or what the shot might do to it. People participate in that the way they want to. But I think that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
We've got more hands up. Cassandra, you
Yeah, Cassandra won it as well.
You should be able to unmute them. Yeah, there you go.
Hi there. No, I didn't have my hand up. I don't know what's going on with my phone.
Well, you did,
But
you
hello
got
anyway.
anything to add anywhere while you're here?
Let's see. I just love the conversation. It's been great to hear, and the intricacies and the perspectives and the languaging I just really resonated with. I loved the part about the DNA that Athena just brought in. I really don't have anything to add to that, but I would say that was probably the closest that I would be able to articulate as well, going back to our human history and the original, we're genetically modified and going back there. Absolutely.
There's been a few things actually that have suggested, and I mean, putting aside that Holmes said we're doing this anyway years ago, going backwards through the events, going back to where we started. They said that a long time ago. And again, it brings in that tenant concept. But lately I've been seeing a lot of talk about what's happening astrologically and also what's happening politically on the ground in certain countries is got this biblical reference, and how it's all sort of going backwards through the events biblically. There's all this stuff that we're going back, or we're undoing. And maybe that's why, maybe we're actually just about on a collective level because these conversations never happen randomly as far as I'm concerned. It always proves out that there was a reason behind it. So if we're having this DNA conversation now, maybe we are about to collectively hit an awareness around that. And it could actually come from the juice. That could be the trigger for it. People looking into that more and making some discoveries and announcements about our DNA. I wonder.
Yeah, it's very good. Talking about going backwards, I have the understanding, and from my own personal experience, that the original blueprint or DNA, the languaging here in this, even in this conversation or in this reality, is so limiting to even bring what original blueprint would even be. But when I say original blueprint, like the original in balance, we could even say, the best human concept of idea manifested in form, the original home, the original source, what that looks like before we genetically modified and came in through all of these things, which Athena talks about. So from my understanding, that is in me where that makes sense. Like I'm going back there, but I'm not ever going back. Words.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I'm going back to the original where it all started, but we're actually not going back. And I've never been here before as a collective whole doing this thing, that which we're doing based on the history that we are now accessing through the DNA timelines of our codes that's in here, some potentially dormant, memories all in there, the activation of all those things.
Cassandra, I don't want to cut you off at all, but it's more of for Athena. I want you to continue, but Athena, are you able to unmute? Because I remember when I muted myself, I was unable to unmute. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. I'm gonna unmute you then. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, because I didn't want you to say something, Athena, but you were muted when Cassandra was. All right, cool. Go ahead, continue, Cassandra.
Yeah, what you're saying, we're not retracing our steps backwards and undoing what's been done. We're taking a different path back to where we started and taking all of this with us. Because otherwise we're just undoing it all, which we're not going to do. We've gained too much. We've traveled too far. But we are going back to a particular point. We're just, it's not retracing our steps though and walking back.
No, it's, and that whole journey that we're on, I'll call it this journey that we're on, doing this, even surprises me even, sometimes I think, yeah, of course, but it's not until even January 12th of 2023, whatever that means in this realm of a date, time, space construct, I'm having an awareness that is far beyond this time, space, January 12th, but it's happening here of memory, exactly where I am, how I'm supposed to be there, and where this is going. And yet I cannot capture it tangibly, but I know it because something occurred where now I can access that. And yet I came in with such a knowing that I am going back to the original blueprint because this isn't how it was supposed to be. And on the way, I'm collecting parts of myself in timelines where I'm like, oh, that occurred. And I don't want that to exist there anymore. I experienced that. Perhaps that was, I needed to come back and collect that. And I feel that the best word to describe it would be the convergence. That this is all converging. And the surprise for me is that how little we know.
We remember how little we remember.
Yeah, thank you. How little we remember, but how much we know is in here. Like it's so vast. It's the abyss of everything and nothingness. It's so vast. So imagine what we are if we were already original. Imagine what experiences we would miss potentially, and so to put it in one, here's a paragraph of what DNA is. Of course, there's the science DNA here of the eye color and all of those things. And years ago when I studied iridology, the naturopath, my teacher, he said, your eye color can change. I was like, oh yeah, that's ridiculous. What do you mean? And he did this big, dissertation about DNA and all this stuff. And he was a little ahead of his time, but I couldn't conceptualize that, then.
Well, as got brought up in the YouTube chat earlier, I mean, it's been well documented that people with multiple personalities have different eye colors. They have different conditions and diseases per personality. And it changes in real time. One can have diabetes and it can be measured right there and then. And 5 minutes later, they don't. Cancer, tumors disappear and reappear. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean that's even going directly to what I said and Athena said, is that if we're calling it DNA, it is expressed at that very moment of what the soul is expressing itself as.
Yeah,
it's a deep one. It's not it's not an easy one to get through because we need to remember all the knowledge that is contained within us, and we're on that path. We are definitely on that path. So it is the 13th here in Australia, so the 13th of January, and my goodness, has this been like an enormous year already, right? Just 13 days, and it's been so expansive, and these memories, these knowings, they unlock, and all this information, just you're swimming in a pool of it. And I agree with you. We're remembering what happened before, but we're not going backwards. But in order to have had this experience of distortion and experience that version of ourselves, we had to forget ourselves. We had to. There is no way this would have been had if you knew who you were. If you knew the power you had, we would not have played any part in this. It wouldn't have worked anyway. It's like faking it, but you can't. Like you can't hide your power. You can't hide your enthusiasm. You just couldn't hide it. You'd have to be a really good actor, and to trust all these souls with, just act your way through it. It's not going to be the experience that is required by the universal being, by the universe, and all of us, because we all take from this. When we leave, we take this all with us. So whether you've had one lifetime in here and it was a fantastic one, and others have had 50 million and they were all atrocious, that entire pool of knowledge, expression of soul essence, and that experience is bundled together. And when we leave, we all take that with us. We all get that experience. So whether you've done it or I've done it, it doesn't matter. And that can help us sort of understand that we're all in it together. just doing different parts, getting paid different money for the parts. Yeah. But when we leave, we all take the same prize with us. And it's a massive prize of expansion of your soul. When you go and create your own things. So hard to see it when you're in it. But if you can start remembering your entry point, that you can start from that point, and you can start seeing how it all went, where it all went. And then the love, that acceptance starts to anchor in, and you're understanding it better. Still unlocking, because we don't know anything. Like, even with the stuff that I think I know, there is so much that hasn't been tapped into, and it's all going to come in time, because that's the journey. We can't know the answer right now, because we won't express ourselves appropriately if we know everything. And we still have a little while to go.
Yeah.
How many times have we, well, I'll speak for myself, played nuff to, walk into a situation that, I wouldn't have had I known. And then, but then, the event ultimately is worth it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have volunteered for it had I known. But anyway, we've been at this for a couple of hours, so we've probably taken up enough time for everybody. Thank you all for joining us on YouTube, on Zoom. It's been an interesting conversation, actually. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have. And we won't wait as long, hopefully, for the next one. But I mean, this year it's the 13th for me. So it's just like, it started with a bang. And I just don't think that's going to stop. And time is speeding up to the point where, I mean, does it really feel like we just lived through 3 years of what we've lived through? I mean, it's not. It doesn't. But the next couple will go even faster, is my feel. And yeah, so see you soon. Bye for now.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
So